Steve Harvey was your first.
Yeah,
Then you had your own.
yeah. So I went Steve Harvey. Then I did Said the Entertainer
Thing.
Presents.
Yep.
That was on Fox. Then we went to the Soul Man.
Yep.
And now the Neighborhood.
Right.
So, and I had a couple of pilots all in between, but those are the ones that ran. Like
In the neighborhood, now in syndication.
Yeah,
And
Neighborhood syndication, Soul Man syndication, Steve Harvey show. And we only did one season of Said the Entertainer Presents, and it's unfortunate because it's got great skits on there. But it was around that same time that the Chappelle show was
Right.
popping off too, and so it just those two things were in competition as far as the audience goes, I guess.
When you sit down and you do TV, what are you trying to get across? What do you want the audience to see? What do you want them to know? What do you want them to feel?
Like, I mean, for me, like I said, growing up in a small town, my biggest memory of watching TV was watching it with my grandmother. Like that was her thing when she came home and chill. As the grandkids, we all kind of gathered around her. So I remember shows like Hee Haw.
But Hee Haw was
and
good.
Laughing.
Right.
And so
the Jeffersons, Good Time, All in the Family,
all that stuff, man. And so it was that feeling of knowing that when people come home, they want to laugh, they want to be with each other, and they want to be able to do something. So that's the same feeling I'm trying to give when I do a TV show. I'm trying to tell you a story and allow you to kind of come into these people's world that makes you laugh, and you can sit back and just watch their stuff and have a good time. And that's and if every now and then from the Jeffersons and from Good Times, you learn every now and then you can put in a real message. You can say something important, but it ain't a requirement.
Right.
Yeah.
When you were sitting there watching those, did you ever think you would have one of those?
Oh no. Again, you think about being in a small town like that in Missouri. That's so far removed. That's so far removed. So far away, and even once you get to Hollywood, you realize how far it is away. I just remember came up on the ComicView, really getting my popularity in the black as a comedian in the black community.
Yes.
So I remember used to really being black famous.
Right.
And people in Hollywood had no idea who I was. Right. So I was super, like, if I went to Detroit, dog, I might shut this mall down, but you come out here, you go in a meeting like Ceedric the Interrogator. Oh, love your stuff, Cecil. You're so funny. You'd be like, it's Cedric.
You have Patti LaBelle on your show, and she plays your mother.
Yes.
What's it like working with Patti? Did she bring you any pie?
Man, it was COVID, so she couldn't bring anything. I was trying to talk her into, cooking. Because, and she's actually made food for me before. So, Miss Patti can get down.
Oh, she get down like that?
Yeah, so that's like another thing that people don't know. Like, even when she's on tour, she have a whole kitchen come in, so she cooks. So, but it was COVID. We couldn't really do any of these things. But she's so great. She's gracious. She actually, I do a big fundraiser for my mom in St. Louis, and she was one of the first people to say yes to come in and perform for that. Have a big gala, and so she's just great. So when I called her to come and play my mother, it just was really kind of full circle, because that was the only one my mother got to see before she passed, was when Patti came. So that was great. So it was like she was the only one lady. I mean, other than Gladys Knight, there was the two that I wanted to be my mama.
Right.
Like,
How did you become the host of BET ComicView and Def Comedy Jam? How did that happen?
So BET ComicView really was, again, one of those things I feel like
It was some
God
great
out,
comics
bro.
that came through that.
It was, man. And God be looking out, because I was back at home. I was in St. Louis. I was like hosting local comedy things, but I had written a lot of jokes. And I wanted to go on television, but I had been on Def Comedy Jam the season before, and they wouldn't let me back on.
Right.
And I had all these jokes, and I was like, I got to go on TV. So I was like, I'm going to do ComicView. And I remember all my contemporaries like, man, don't go to BET after you've been on HBO. Like, that's a step down. Don't do that. You're going to mess up your thing, And I was like, oh, man, I got to get these jokes off.
Right.
So it just so happened that DL had decided to step down. And that year I went, they said, we're going to find a new host by a competition.
Right.
But I was already a beast. I didn't really, I was like on some others. And so I won easily, and then became the host and became a household name. Like, I was, because at that time, ComicView came on every night. So it was like the news. So, and that's why I was black famous. I was like in black households.
Yeah.
I was on every night. Everybody knew me. Like I was like,
ComicView was unbelievable.
Yeah, and then we had, like you say, from ComicView in my era. Yeah, you had the earthquakes when I was hosting. Earthquakes, Cheryl Underwood, DC Curry.
Yeah,
Adele
Gibbons.
Well, Dale came from Def Jam. She blew up on Def Jam.
Chucky Ducky was on there.
Chucky Ducky, Jamario and Jamario.
Jamario, yeah.
Hamburger ain't gonna happen.
Hamburger.
Yeah, so many great people came from that little era. Samoa,
yeah.
Samoa, one of the best. She one of the best.
You know what to do. Hit the subscribe button and become an official member of Club Shay Shay, where we do something before two something.